So I grew up on a grain farm near Mossbank, Saskatchewan, southwest of Moose Jaw, about an hour. In high school, I started dating my now husband, David. David was one of those truly lucky people who always knew what he wanted to be when he grew up. And for him, being a farmer was it. For me, not so much. After high school, I was faced with that overwhelming decision. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? So I enrolled in a tourism marketing program, which led me to positions working in a hotel, in a casino. I worked for a tour bus company. I worked in retail therapy, also known as the mall. And then I landed my dream job, working for Club Med Vacations as a Latin dance instructor on the beaches of the Turks and Caicos Islands. But believe it or not, it was here in the Turks and Caicos Islands that I began to appreciate growing up on a farm. I came home and enrolled and graduated from a college with ag business diploma, and I tried so many different jobs in the agriculture industry. I worked for a grain company, loading rail cars, unloading trucks. I worked for a chemical company, checking fields. I worked for an accounting firm. About 15 years ago, I became a self-declared policy junkie and took an interest in agricultural policy. I wanted to advocate positive changes in agriculture to those issues that were affecting our farm. I could see that it didn't matter how much heart and soul David and I put into the agronomic and marketing decisions on our farm. Politicians were making decisions that were greatly impacting our chances for success. So I decided to take action and start talking about the changes that were needed in the industry. When I started in farm policy, I didn't have a political science background. I didn't know the history of Canadian farm policy. I wasn't an expert on wheat markets, but I had a passion to make a change. I've had the opportunity to sit on a number of boards that advocate positive change. And I started with volunteer producer groups like Grain Growers of Canada and the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association, where I served as their first and youngest female president. In the early days of my presidency, I was almost solely responsible for the media relations, and I did virtually all the radio and TV interviews for the wheat growers, and I did my very best to articulate our positions. But one particular interview has haunted me all these years. I was still very new to the farm policy arena, and I put a lot of heart into developing our policy positions that I felt were defendable and honest and good for the sustainability of our family farm. I studied hard and I prepared for this TV interview, this opportunity to showcase our policy position. But rather than delving into the issue that I had prepared for, the interviewer decided to go in another direction. She asked me to talk about my experience being the first female president of our association. She asked me what it was like to be in a male-dominated industry. I was ill-prepared for this line of questioning, not because I didn't realize that I was virtually the only woman at these farm meetings, but because I hadn't cared that I was. I hadn't given it much thought. I felt that taking time to analyze why I was in a male-dominated industry was taking time away from the issues that were pressing, issues that were relevant. What makes you different than your male colleagues? Well, I guess I look better in pink. That was my attempt at a response. My smart aleck comment became the story. I had spent hours of my time with this reporter going in detail about the policy issue and why I was so passionate about it. But none of that could trump the perfectly pink soundbite that I had already given her. And the irony is that you won't find a lot of pink in my closet. I wore this especially today to remember that interview. And I intentionally didn't wear pink to those farm meetings in an effort to be taken more seriously in a room full of men. And I admit there were times throughout my journey where I felt intimidated. I felt inadequate, and I felt inexperienced, but not because I was a woman. I felt intimidated because I was inadequate and inexperienced. That's just a fact. I was 22, and I had never sat on a formal board before, had no political science background, no farming experience, and no network in the industry. I should feel nothing but inadequate and inexperienced and intimidated. But you know what? My young male colleagues felt that too. And it didn't stop them from sitting at the table, and I didn't let it stop me either. I found that the best way to overcome intimidation was to know your stuff. Learn the files and surround yourself with men and women who can help you navigate. Knowledge and networking will give you the confidence you need to assert yourself, but only time will give you experience. And I've recently started working with the team at Farm and Food Care Saskatchewan. We're a provincial organization working to build trust. And my role is to facilitate training sessions to encourage other farmers to get out there and share their stories. So now I spend my days answering questions about our farming practices, and I encourage other farmers and everybody in the agriculture industry to engage in these conversations. I now eagerly embrace opportunities to share our story, to share the benefits of science and technology in the hopes that I can help lessen the fear that is felt by consumers. I try to find common ground and common values, and then share my experiences as an actual living farmer, a mother, a community volunteer, and a policy advocate. I try to reach people on a level other than rampant disagreement. I'm a farmer, a proud one, and my strengths are best suited to advocate for agriculture and be a champion of good farm policy. I encourage each of you, if you have not yet found your place, to keep looking. Discover the aspects of agriculture that best suit you, that you are passionate about, and communicate your story to as many people as will listen. Thank you very much.